Okay, welcome back. We are here in 2017. Objective 139. Students will be able to understand what is a function. What is a function? So, I'm moving on. You gotta catch up. I actually don't know what year it is now, who's watching this video based on if we're still using it in future years, but I have some New Year's resolutions for myself with these videos, and yes, I do want you to write them down. 1, shorter videos. That's my goal. I know you all are taking a lot of time with the homework, and you're probably up late at night, and you need to go to bed. So, shorter videos. 2, more fun. I'm trying to be more animated because you're probably watching this late at night and you're tired, and it's probably way more fun to have somebody who's excited to talk at you. So I'm trying to be more animated and more excited. 3, clearer. I get that sometimes I get really excited and you can't understand a word that I'm saying. So I'm trying to be a lot more clear, a lot more articulate, so you can hear me, but it still, covers the rest of the resolutions. And again, I don't know who's actually watching this, what year it is, but at least in my class, and this year, we're going to work on New Year's resolutions, and I've been told if you say them out loud and you write them down, you're more likely to keep them, and now you all can hold me accountable too. Alright, recall. Recall means, you all got to remember it and recall it, and so I'm not going to tell you any of this. Expression, substitution, equation, look back to your notes, use the internet, but have definitions for each one of these and make sure they're good. Don't write some bad definitions, okay? Moving on to example 1. Oh yeah, before I forget, between me and you, I just did this whole video and then I didn't save. So when life gives you lemons, you just gotta make lemonade sometimes. Alright, example 1. Given the expression for x, notice how it said expression because an equation, if it said equation, it would have an equal sign, but there's no equal sign, it's just an expression. Numbers along with variables. So 4x, given the expression 4x, find the value if x equals 2, so on and so forth. This is actually just some substitution, which is one of the words you're supposed to define, so hopefully you did. If I plug in 2 for the value of x, I now have multiplication. 4 times 2 equals 8. That's it. That's the value I'm looking for. Now notice whenever I substitute, I use parentheses because I want that whole value of x being multiplied by 4 in this case. Now I have x is equal to negative 3, so again, I'm going to use parentheses. 4 times negative 3 is equal to negative 12. Moving on to the part C, x equals now 1/2. If I have 4 times 1/2, well, hopefully you're ahead of me now, that equals 2. So now the question, what is happening to x? I really would like it if you actually wrote your own answer. I'm going to provide you my 2 cents right now. So what is happening to x? So there's a few ways you could phrase it. I would say the value of x is being multiplied by 4. And you might be like, well, duh, but that's what's happening. So if we're looking at here, whatever the value of x is, in this case 2, to get to 8, you multiply by 4. From negative 3 to get to negative 12, you multiply by 4. So that's what's happening to x. Each time the value is being multiplied by 4. You could also say, not say the value, and say x is being quadrupled. There is a phenomenal chance I misspelled that word. You should look it up and correct me because that's what good students do. And I'm not the best speller, but that's okay. So you could say x is being multiplied by 4 or x is being quadrupled. Alright? Example 2 is very similar. We're moving on. Okay, I was searching through all of these and I really like example 4. They're all fantastic. Remember, if we skip around, Ms. Hyder and myself and whoever else is teaching now, if we are skipping around, make sure you still complete all of what was assigned in class. We are here on example 4. Given the equation, because we do have an equal sign, y equals 3x minus 5, what is the value of y if, given these values, very similar to the example we just walked through. So I'm going to substitute. So I have y is equal to 3, and then in parentheses, put that value of 3 for x minus 5. According to order of operations, I have to multiply first. 3 times 3 is 9, minus 5, so y is equal to 9 minus 5. And that's going to mean that y is equal to 4, and that's what the question's asking. What is the value of y? Now I wrote it off to the side because I wanted to save some space here to work out each problem. So now we have x is equal to negative 4. Again, I have y is equal to 3. In parentheses, I'm going to put that value of negative 4 minus 5. So I have y is equal to 3 times negative 4, which is negative 12 minus 5. Hopefully you finished already, and you know that y is equal to negative 17. Last one, we have y is equal to 3 times, this time the value of x is negative 1/2 minus 5. You have some options here. 3 times negative 1/2 is negative 3/2, negative 3 over 2. You could also make it into a decimal, and that's what I'm going to do on this one. 3 times negative 1/2 is negative 1.5, and minus 5, we would have y is equal to negative 6.5. And again, we have this question of, what is happening to x? Well, it's very similar to how we interpreted the first example. What I would say is x is being multiplied by 3. You could also say x is being tripled. Now, a fair comment would be, but wait, Mr. Riggs, there's like a negative 5 right there. It's subtracting 5. You are right. But the question was saying, like, oh, right here, the question is saying, what is happening to the x? And if I just focus on what's happening to the x, to get from 3, well, it's being multiplied by 3. 3 to 9, it's being multiplied by 3. Negative 4, to get to negative 12, it's again being multiplied by 3. Now, if the question was trying to analyze how did we get to the y value, you would probably be more right to say, well, you multiplied the x value by 3 and then you subtracted 5. But if we're answering this question, I think those are better responses. But again, you can totally disagree. Notice how the question, what is happening to x, keeps popping up. Please don't blow it off. Like, don't think it's a typo or a repeat. It's very intentional. Focus on, like, how do these expressions and equations change and get more complicated? And as new questions pop up, really think about them. This is a very guided objective. The goal is that you come into class with a lot of conclusions already drawn. Okay, so put in the pre-work so you're more successful in our class discussions. All right, we're all the way on practice 2 now. It's a red marker. Given the equation, again, we have an equation, y equals 3 minus 8x. Find the value of x if, now this is a little bit different. We're not given the value of x, we're given the value of y. It's actually very similar. We're still going to do some substitution. So in place of the value of y, I'm going to put 11 equals 3 minus 8x. And we're being asked to figure out, like, what is the value of x. Now, I did not use parentheses, so I'm kind of being inconsistent. But the reason I didn't is nothing's happening to the y. It's all by itself. It's not being multiplied or even subtracted by stuff, so I just put it in as the value. If you're looking at, like, oh wait, how do I do this? I hope really what you did was like, oh wait, that's just an equation. We know how to solve this now. We're trying to solve for x, so the first thing I'm going to do is subtract 3 from both sides. And get 8 is equal to, that cancels whenever I'm trying to solve. I really want this term by itself. It's always good to use the opposite or the inverse operations to get the variable you want by itself. So we have 8 is equal to negative 8x. And now this is negative 8 times x, so again I'm going to do the opposite or the inverse. I'm going to divide both sides by negative 8. So I have negative 1 is equal to x. And that's it, that's the value of x. I'm not going to walk through these next two, as they are very similar, but I don't know if I'm going to tell you that. Yeah, why not? That'll be fun. You're going to be a little disappointed, because these definitions are not going to be like, oh, like now I get it. You got to do a lot more of the work at home on your own. If we're talking about functions, we're talking about the input of a function. Well, the input is kind of exactly what it sounds like. It's the value that gets put into a function. You're like, well, obviously, but that's what input is. It's the value that gets put into a function, whereas output is the solution or the resulting value from the input. So I doubt that those definitions just made it all click. You still have work to do on your own. what you really should be looking at is that question, like what is happening to X? What you really should be trying to answer are two more questions. You should be trying to figure out why is that happening. So whenever you got that answer, like think of the first example, 4x. Think about like what got you to 8 and like why is that happening? And then when you're thinking about function, I just lost my question. There we go, I figured it out. This is the question you also need to figure out is what are the functions we saw in this objective? Frankly, function is a really big word, or not a big, but a kind of misleading vague word to describe something that you already know very well. So try to figure out like, what are the functions we saw in this objective and how do input and output relate to functions. I'm going to attach an additional video. Again, you should have a good answer for these questions before you come into class. Hopefully this video was a little more fun and exciting and that you're not too bored and it was shorter and hopefully more clear. One of my New Year's resolutions, hold me to it. We'll see you in class.